A couple of baseball questions.
All right.
You a fan of a team?
Not really.
No, never had one?
Not the Cardinals. Yeah, I would say the Cardinals. That may get me in trouble growing up. But
That's
just growing up in Arkansas, that was. But actually, so 3 teams I was exposed to mostly.
Okay.
Cubs, Harry Carey, right?
Gotcha.
Was that
Right.
WGN?
Right.
The Braves, okay,
That's
and the
good.
Cardinals.
That's good.
That's it. Cardinals, Braves, and Cubs were my teams growing up. I'll say that. That's what I was exposed to mostly.
So playing in this building, to you, have you been there for games?
Never been there for a game, but
Really?
seen a lot of them on
That's the
TV.
first one.
Grew up as a kid watching it a lot, so it's a pretty cool opportunity to go in that stadium. A lot of history there. Obviously, most of it being baseball, but nonetheless, a historic venue that I think our team, our players, our fans, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity as well.
Offensive has found something these last 2 weeks in terms of production and putting points on the board. What's been the difference for you?
Well, we've had some other opportunity during the year that we played pretty well too, so the last couple of weeks, and we've had some times when we hadn't, and it's kind of the nature of the business sometimes, and we're always striving for, every time we get the ball, we want to score. I mean, that's our job, and within that, the subcategory obviously is just score one more time than the other team, one more point, and but the last couple of weeks, it's been a team effort across the board. Special teams has given us good field position. The defense has got some timely turnovers, and our players have made plays when they presented themselves and have made a lot of plays. And the name of the game, that's it. When he talks about football, obviously I've said that already about scoring. That's our job, but at the end of the day, you try to put your players in the best opportunity, best position that you can to help them succeed. And our guys are just, making plays left and right. It's been fun to see, and they've really risen up.
From the moment the timeout was called during the field goal to that touchdown, what transpired for you guys to have that play up and ready and execute it?
Well, obviously, I knew that we were on the fringe, of that, and we planned those things out, and so it was pretty easy. I'm not trying to, kind of minimize the situation, but we had practiced and had planned and knew when Coach said, "Hey, we're going to go for it," knew exactly what we were going to call. The only question I had was really what kind of the protection we were going to use, and I think we ended up making the right call. Our guys did a nice job picking up a blitz and giving Luke just enough time to rip that thing through the middle. And man, it was just fun to see him make a play and for it to unveil like you would hope it would when you practice those things.
And Brett said Colin was probably open too. You probably had a couple options. Was that, were you, yes, this is exactly how the play was supposed to work, or were you surprised by how well it developed?
Well, you don't know what they're going to be in that point in time. You try to give your players plays to have answers, and that's always the disappointing thing as a coordinator when you turn the film on and those are those plays I talk about a lot, where there's like, man, this play didn't have a great answer for our guys, and you try to design routes and protections that give your guys the best chance to succeed in moments like that. And just happened to be one of those moments where, we probably had the right call on in relation to what we were seeing. We had multiple people open, like based on the coverage shell, probably had all 3 of them had an opportunity to catch the ball, but the ball where it needed to go, and obviously Pat did a phenomenal job after that.
You've got a pretty clutch quarterback, Barry. What do you see from Luke in those moments for those game-winning drives that get you down with those opportunities?
I just kind of see the same guy that you see at practice, you kind of see around the building. I think that's a good quality that he possesses, that he's never really too up or too down. He's pretty even in his emotions and his approach, and very workmanlike. And so, I think once he's at the point in his career where he's experienced enough to have had those moments on both sides. And I think that you got a weathered quarterback, a guy that's just kind of experienced and kind of been through the ups and downs of playing football in the Big Ten. And when you have the ball in your hand, like ultimately a lot depends on you. And I think he's seen both sides of the fence of that and realizes that, that even though his job is to help us lead and score, that's not really, at the end of the day, doesn't define who he is as a person. And so I think he plays with a great deal of freedom and knowing who he is and what he's about, and it's been infectious.
11 games of film to watch.
Yeah.
Northwestern. What stands out about their defense to you?
Well, it's really an impressive unit, to be honest with you. I mean, it's if you watch them, and felt that like this last year and the first year I went against them too, is this is. The system has been in place there for multiple years, and obviously Coach Braun and his staff have put their own spin on things, but the structure of the defense has stayed, and they just are super well coached, and they play really hard within their scheme, and they know their scheme in and out, and you know, so it's a tremendous challenge for us in that regard. On top of, you know, the rivalry and the venue, you know, the interesting venue. There's a lot of layers to this, and we're going to have a tremendous challenge. But I know our guys will be ready for that and put their best foot forward in their prep. But I do acknowledge or see. I've been really impressed with the way that they play on defense and the way they run the ball and the way they tackle, and they've got a good defense.
That sweet play on the final drive with Luke, I'm assuming it was designed to get out of bounds, and they made a good play, but did you see something that you thought could chunk, or is that to play to get in a more manageable field goal range?
Both.
Okay.
You know, I mean, like, you know, we felt like that was a good design run to get, you know, on the perimeter, and you know, we didn't execute it to a really high degree, and obviously I had an opportunity there for it to be a big play, and you know, those are those kind of calls that, you know, to be honest with you, you know, if you gain 15 or 20, everybody's like, what a great call, and if they don't, it's like, what are we doing, you know? And I get that, you know, that's part of the nature of my job is, you know, is you know, you're in the critical moments, you know, and really the only plays that really are good are the ones that work, you know, at the end of the day. And fortunately, we had a few other ones that worked, you know, better than that one did. But that was the idea behind it, is so that we could pop them a run, get out of bounds, designed to get out of bounds, didn't quite get there, had to use our timeout, which, you know, obviously we'd like to have another one. We knew that. We knew it was our last timeout. We knew what the consequences would be if we weren't able to get the run starter, get out of bounds, and fortunately we were able to overcome it.
Coach, in your time here, have you developed a feeling about the rivalry with Northwestern?
Yeah.
Appreciation for it now.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that, you know, I think it's been fun to be a part of the you know, obviously the Big Ten and what those, I've always kind of seen those from afar and been a part of all those, and whether it's been us or watching other teams be a part of those things. Obviously, you know, going on my third year now, and 1-1 in that game. The rivalries are a whole lot more fun when you win them,
Right.
you know, than they are when you lose them. And you know, last year I thought, you know, they outcoached us and outcoached me and outplayed us, and you know, we're able to take that trophy, and we're going to fight scratch and claw to try to go get it back. But obviously it's a fun in-state rivalry. You see a lot of the players know each other. And when I go to high schools, you know, and recruiting, you see coaches that have different backgrounds and allegiances to different schools, and in the business world. So it's a fun in-state rivalry that we've got a lot of respect for our opponent when we go play them.
The offense.
Big plays have obviously been a huge part of the offense for you. Is there a particular situation or down distance where you look to take a shot, or is it more of an organic thing that just
Yeah, I think
kind
it's
of
a
happens?
little bit more organic. You know, I mean, there's times and there's things that you want to make sure you get called during the game, and then you just try to, you know, feel the right moment. Some of it's momentum based. Some of it is, you know, maybe a little bit of how deep you are in a drive, or if they feel like the defense has got a little bit of fatigue, or you know, because sometimes shot plays require a few more, you know, Mississippi, so to speak, and as you hold on to it sometimes. And but obviously that's something that, you know, our guys have done a really good job of executing. Some moments when we've had opportunities to make some big plays, we've done it. We need more of that. But you know, to your earlier question, like I've been really impressed with, you know, just all positions have really risen up and executed some critical moments as of late.
Your offensive line has given Luke a few more of those Mississippis lately. How have you seen them kind of find their own here in the last few weeks and give them
Well, they
time?
just kept fighting and scratching and clawing and coming to work every day and getting better, and you know, and I think you know, I think we have I really think since the bye week, the second bye week, we've done a good job. And I'm not saying that when I say me. I'm not saying when I say we. I'm not saying me. Like, I just think as a staff and under Coach B's direction, we kind of peeled back kind of some self-scout stuff, and I think down the stretch we've done a good job of putting our guys in good situations. And I'm not saying we put them in a bunch of bad ones earlier on, but maybe we've tried to, you know, focus on certain things here that, you know, maybe we're more of a strength, and get away with some things that maybe, and every player on our team, including the coaches, have weaknesses, you know, and so we're trying to play to strengths and minimize weaknesses across the board at all positions. And I've been really pleased with, you know, how that group has just stayed in there. They're gritty, they work well with each other, and have done a really nice job the last few weeks of protecting us and helping us in the run game.
We spent so much time talking about Pat and Zakari for obvious reasons, but guys like Hank and Kapka, like, how important has their rise been for critical moments for you guys here in the last few games?
Yeah, sure, Hank and Colin, and you know, obviously we talked about Cap, you know, in his moment, and even though he didn't make you know, the play made 2 weeks ago was a huge impact, and then he played a lot of plays the other day, and he had a really nice block and had a catch taken away from him, and But yeah, I mean, it's just like those guys epitomize what we're trying, not what we're trying to build, what we built here, what coaches built here, of just those guys that come in your program and they learn the way, and maybe they don't, just flash immediately, but they hang in there and develop, and they get comfortable in their role, and Tank and our medical staff and nutrition and all those things feed into their holistic improvement and development. And then you see those guys take the field and show out and show up in big moments. It's really fun to see.
I don't really have any more questions about Pat, but how good is that guy? I mean, it's such a dumb thing to ask, but it seems like he's playing it really well.
He's pretty good. Yeah, he's pretty good. And the thing that's cool about Pat, and I know this has been super well documented. I can remember my first spring here. We were doing interviews, and Pat was sitting on those steps right there because he was up on deck, and I just remember. Honestly getting almost emotional about what I saw in him, just how much of a worker he was and how selfless he was. And I just remember thinking, this guy's everything good about college football. And he really hadn't done it. And I'm not saying to say I recognize something in him that nobody, no. Obviously being brought here was a great move, but his continued development, his game has just continued just to get better and better and better. He's never changed who he is. This is the moment I've been here, as far as his character and his give a care meter about his teammates and the way he works and the way he practices and the way he blocks without the ball and the way he's engaged in meetings. He's taking it to a new level, right? He's taking that to a new level, but that's always been in his DNA and character. It's been fun to see the results and the production match what he means to this program and this team.
I'm gonna ask you about per snap penalties. Just one of those days, I guess. But how do you address that with the guys? You focus, just let it go, or do you focus on it in practice and emphasize it?
Yeah, we don't ever let anything go that we feel like, and I know Coach just talked about this, is anything that costs you the opportunity to win a game, which those things, things that happen pre-snap and post-snap just can't happen, and we certainly addressed them, and we look at everything A to Z, and I think early on we were just a little disheveled, and then we really settled in late, to be honest with you, and it'll be something that we need to be able to do, down the stretch here to play a cleaner brand. We can't afford to be having pre-snap penalties early on, and that's a big mantra in our program, and I know our guys will get that fixed.
So you were a Royals Award nominee. How much is that a testament to just what the offense has been able to do this year?
Well, listen, we've got our head coach is he's a phenomenal leader and developer of programs and coaches, and we've got a great staff on all three phases that have all worked together with our players this year to put us in position to be able to go win this game, and great opportunity in front of us, and it's all that stuff's just a reflection of the way Luke's played, and Pat, you could go on down the line, just guys that are selfless and that play our brand of football and just bring it every day.
Hopefully this isn't too elementary, but what's the key to making a running back by committee work?
Well, I think the first thing, you got to have a bunch of guys that are willing to do it from an ego standpoint, and we got a bunch of guys that are unselfish and that just put the team first, and they put aside their, they all have, sure, every one of them, and they should feel this way, would want more carries, and but I think that is a real strong testament to the character of who they are, and I think their coach does a phenomenal job of breeding that, and they've all helped us win and will continue to help us win. It's been fun to watch, to be honest with you. That's a real joy as a coach to see a position like that they just really don't care, and I don't care who's in there either. I don't, and Thad doesn't either, and so we try to even that out. And sure, there's some guys that we've talked about this, that have some maybe a strength here, or a little bit stronger of a strength in one area than another, but to see them carry their role like that and just be ready, it's been fun to watch.